Tell me about your vision.
So my vision is, as a people, there has been so much fragmentation happening, within people's, I always say we're different units. So there's the personal unit of your own person, your body, that's a vision of how you imagine yourself to be, right? Personally, professionally, what you're supposed to look like. And then there's, of course, the family unit, right? And then as a people and as different nations come together, that can kind of go tipsy turvy as we are seeing on the political stage. So, my vision is for folks to start to develop a greater level of unity consciousness.
Tell me more about that.
So unity consciousness really, Harry, it doesn't matter from which country you are. I happen to have been born and raised in Switzerland, right? But this consciousness is not concerned with the country. It's concerned with your level of awareness and with your level of consciousness as who we are as a people and who we are as a global community, and how can we elevate our thinking in such a way? Of course, it starts with each person individually to find more of a unifying ground in order to reconnect all the fragmentation and all the different dots that have been sort of left out in the ethers.
I still don't quite understand. So, if you try to explain it in simple man's terms, what is
Yes.
your vision about? So I understand that clearly.
So the vision really is for people to come together
Mm,
as one.
awesome. And where
Yes.
do these thoughts come into play in that? Like you said, the thoughts are left in the ethos.
Yes. So oftentimes people, depending on where they grew up, they have different belief systems of what that's supposed to look like. And of course, that starts within your own family unit that you grow up in. And so when you start to develop a different awareness, you can find common denominators within the person right in front of you that may be African American or maybe Indian, or maybe you start to see that the person in front of you is, after all, not that much different as you are
Yes.
than you are.
I believe like I think everyone's a child of God, and
Yes.
they are reflection of Him Himself. Um, in whatever color of the skin or whatever shape or form that they are in right now. I believe that's what they represent. So how does what I mentioned and what you said, um, how does that relate to your vision in coming together? So when I see someone and I look, hey, if I'm looking at, let's say, a white American male or an African male or a Chinese man, um, how does that, um, knowing that who they are, how does help that coming together?
I very much agree with your viewpoint as well. I do believe, and I've always felt that way, Harry, from a very early age, that we are, all of us are reflections of the image of God, whether that is male or female. And so I've always felt like, we've been given this much. If you want to bring your arms out to the side, and we live out this much. However, within that particular example, it depends on the person if they're able to see that, because they may say, "Oh yeah, I'm an image of God, of course," but you're not, Harry. Because you look different. Your skin color is very olive yellowish, and that's not my image of who God is,
Hmm.
right? Of course, that's very separatistic thinking. It's not unifying thinking. That in the true spirit of God, we are one people, one nation under God.
Yes. So where did this vision come from, Danielle?
That vision came from that came to me at a very early age, Harry, when I grew up in Switzerland.
Hmm.
I grew up in the highlands of Switzerland. I feel very blessed that I have because I was very rooted to Mother Earth and the animals. And I very much felt a connection to the earth and to people. And I saw things very much from a five, or I should say, six sense perceptive point of view or feeling because I had this connection. I felt very connected also to other people. I felt very connected to animals. When I looked at the color, I saw the green, but not just the green. I saw the shade of green, the vibrance of green, how it vibrated, how it pulsated. So I was very connected to life, to the life force in itself. And so when I looked at people, Harry, I always saw, oh my gosh, look at Harry. He's got that energy of curiosity about him. And so I would automatically gravitate to see unifying elements, unifying perspectives, even though maybe otherwise we looked very different, right?
Yeah.
So I always felt the connection to life itself. And I think my vision was born from that very basic feeling of it. I remember this one story. I was maybe 13 or 14 years old, and Switzerland has the four seasons, as you may know. The winters are very cold, and we get some pretty powerful thunderstorms that may want to make you hide because it's a little spooky. But when I remember this particular time, it was thundering and bolting, and it was very spooky for most people. Not for me. I went out with a pad of paper and a pen, and I just started to write about the beauty of Mother Earth and how these fireworks were making me feel alive.
Yeah.
You see? So it was this very passion for life itself and of my experience. And I felt like that would just kind of trickle out into wherever I was walking, but that wasn't what I was experiencing. And so from an early age, I somewhat became a translator of that information in different ways of feeling the connection of all that was within us and around us and within the people, even ever so different, that were right in front of us.
So how has that connection helped you moving forward in your life? Like, what impact has that made for you?
That connection really became a guiding light for me from a very early age. I felt like people were oftentimes, of course, then I couldn't word it this way, but I felt like people just weren't present. They just weren't rooted. I felt that they were robotically, in quotation, moving about their life, different, picking very similar professions. They really weren't living that life force energy and that passion that life itself is. And so from a very early age, then this became a guiding light of where I got into the field of human growth potential, studying studying books that had to do with destiny as a chance, back in Germany and in Switzerland. And so I started to develop that. When I was 18, I had moved out of my parents' home, and I started reading this particular book, and I fell in love with an older man. So I was reading this book and I was underlining it almost like a Bible. And in this book, it was telling me that power, it was talking about the power of positive thinking
Hmm.
and using independent thought, free spirited thought, in order to create and cultivate my own mind and my own life vision. The name of the gentleman I fell in love with was Vincent Peale, the
Mm.
minister, and the book was The Power of Positive Thinking. So off it went into the further development of my work then with being a speaker, corporate development, but always infusing the spirit of connection and unity within all the work I was doing. Of course, using very different terms.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.